As many of you are aware, Rooster Teeth has been shut down. Even before they were shut down, they were deader than a zombie that had his brains blown out on the side of the street. And while I may disagree with some of the decisions that Zaslav has made in the past, I agree with this one specifically. Besides, when you have a Rooster Teeth-sized tumor, you get that removed. Rooster Teeth was on borrowed time, and basically everyone knew that. It's no surprise to anyone that they got shut down. I mean, they're just as good at burning money as they are racking up terrible publicity. Dear Rooster Teeth, since our founders created and uploaded their first video on the then called World Wide Web in 2003... Wait, is this done by a boomer? What? Who calls it that anymore? Rooster Teeth has been a source of creativity, laughter, and lasting innovation in the wildly volatile media industry. I mean, what? We've been laughing at them? You know, not with them, definitely at them for the last few years now. Yeah. We've read the headlines about industry-wide layoffs and closures, and you've heard me give my perspective and updates on the rapidly changing state of media and entertainment during each of our monthly all-hands meetings. Since inheriting ownership of the control of Rooster Teeth from AT&T following its acquisition of Time Warner, Warner Bros. Discovery continued its investment in our company, content, and community. Now, however, it's with a heavy heart that I announce that Rooster Teeth is shutting down due to challenges facing digital media resulting from fundamental shifts in consumer and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage. No, the problem was they were creating garbage content that was complete and total ass. Not only that, but they got hyper-political, and they were absolutely obnoxious towards their viewers. I mean, seriously. They sucked. Like Barbara Dunkelman. Friendly reminder that if there is a show/series that you don't like, find an issue with, or used to like but don't anymore for your own reasons, no one is forcing you to watch it. Let people who enjoy it continue to do so and move on.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
To think that tweet was over Ruby criticism, and she was supposed to be, at that time, a director of social and community marketing. A competent company would have actually fired her over that statement. Besides, it gives off G4 TV vibes.
If you don't like it, don't watch it. Peace!
This is just my opinion. I expect people to disagree, but just vote blue. If you think this election is just about the person running, you need to look beyond that.
Shut up, silly woman.
And considering some of the stupid things that were said, Barbara even admitted this on their Reddit, stating, there wouldn't have been a Ruby Volume 9 without Crunchyroll. They helped fund the season in exchange to have exclusivity for a year on their platform. It was obvious that they were having financial problems. Everybody knew this. And this right here was just more proof to add to the layering of that. And here's the funny thing. This wasn't the only indicator that Rooster Teeth was having financial problems, which, back on October 5th of 2023, Rooster Teeth pulls animated shows from YouTube, urges fans to stream them on Rooster Teeth's site so it can generate more ad revenue. That's because they were bleeding out worse than a chicken with its head cut off. Rooster Teeth has pulled some of the content off YouTube, claiming the video platform's ad-supported economics don't make sense. Rooster Teeth, Warner Bros. Discovery's fandom, gaming, and comedy entertainment brand, has removed some of its popular animated shows, including Red vs. Blue and Camp from YouTube. In a video posted Thursday on Instagram, Carrie Shawcross, a Rooster Teeth showrunner and writer who has worked on Ruby, Red vs. Blue, and more, said the decision was driven by the high cost of producing animation, and he encouraged viewers to watch the content for free on the Rooster Teeth website going forward. According to Shawcross, ad-supported content viewed on the Rooster Teeth website generates 5-10 times more revenue per ad compared with YouTube. YouTube revenue just is not cutting it for us right now. It just doesn't make sense to have our whole back catalog on YouTube anymore. Animation's hard and it's expensive. Ultimately, it's about making sure that your support is going as far as it can go.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
I mean, animation is hard and expensive. Yes, that is true. But the biggest problem with Rooster Teeth was the fact that, well, for one, they sold out, which screwed them, because if they stayed independent, they wouldn't be worrying about this problem. But another is, I doubt they would have gotten 5 to 10 more times ad revenue. You know, it really depends upon the model and structure. And besides, you know, I've heard that from some people that, their ad revenue can be pretty good. But then again, Rooster Teeth had a studio they were paying for with cameramen, with, tons of people on the team, interns. If you're not making the views, then no, you were not going to get the money back. It's just not going to happen. Then again, if you look at the garbage they were making, like the Ruby x Justice League crossover, oh god, that was horrible. And it was also just one atrocious failure. It was a financial mess. And then you had that horrible Wonder Woman cover that I also remember. I mean, that was absolutely hideous. If there's one thing that would have done really well is if they had made more content like this, where they had the Rooster Teeth founders play Halo for the last time. If they had more things like that, then they would have done great. Hell, I mean, even their own logo suffered. I mean, this logo, this is truly one of the biggest downgrades I've ever seen. I mean, what the hell do you think you were doing, competing with McDonald's and their Chicken McNugs? You ain't gonna win. Even Ronald probably looked at that mess and thought that was a fast food chain restaurant up for competition, then come to realize that, oh no, I'm not stepping near that disaster of a mental circus. And with Rooster Teeth getting hyper-political, well, that was also a problem in itself, because they would virtue signal all the time, like things like this. This is your regular reminder that we happily and proudly stand for social justice. We have no tolerance for racism, sexism, or harassment of any kind. If you're not with us, this isn't an airport. No need to announce your departure.
Right.
Leave it to the company that's trying to virtue signal to actually have deep, dark skeletons in their closets, like the sex scandal that was going on with their employees sleeping around with apparently minors. Then there was also the abusive executive, the abuse that was going on with the animators. I mean, these people were terrible. A lot of horrible things going on. Despite passing through many corporate owners, Rooster Teeth transcended a media business and was a dynamic movement that shaped the bond between communities, creators, and storytelling. Our founders didn't have a blueprint for a media empire, but they got close to building one alongside a community that's fueled its remarkable growth. In its earliest days, Rooster Teeth relied on community sponsorship through time, dollars, and unwavering passion. Volunteers evolved into staff, and the snowball effect grew, resulting in new relationships, marriages, births, and shaped experiences that have changed lives. Speaking of new relationships, they did come out with another virtue signal, which they stated, transphobia sucks and intolerance has no home in the Rooster Teeth community. Let's be inclusive and kind. If you disagree, then you don't belong here. Oh boy, did that lead to another issue later on, because they had to make a statement on something, which was how one of their trans employees was treated poorly by them. And if you'll ever notice any companies that do this kind of thing, that try to virtue signal, they always have something to hide. Every single time. This is what they try to do. They try to do this whole spew of word salad to deflect. But there's something I've noticed that other people haven't noticed about this when they talk about this whole apology and whatnot. This is something they said here. This led to engaging a DEI consultant, a management firm specializing in cultural growth and workplace change, outside HR support, and external management training consultants.
Gotcha, bitch!
Now, if there's one thing I was not told by my insiders, I had no idea that this happened. I had no idea about the DEI consultant, but it's very obvious, especially when you watch later volumes of Ruby. Oh yeah. You could definitely tell that it happened. You can't spell DEI without DIE. When you look at one big word salad like this, whenever they're trying to say that, oh, we're sorry, oh, this happened. The funny thing is, they never learn from this. They always seem to repeat the same cycle. It's always the same thing. They never try to change, and that's the problem. They never learn from their mistakes. But then they're like, oh, look, we're diverse, we're inclusive, Yeah, that's not going to save your ass. I mean, especially with all the scandals they were racking up, man. They were racking those things up so fast, it was like racking up stars in GTA. It was literally just hollow words. Their apology meant nothing, because nothing was going to change. It didn't matter. So, I mean, they were just going to keep doing these terrible things. I mean, it's horrible, but that's exactly what they were going to do. And there was a whole entire other page of just meshed up words that, obviously, nobody cared about. Considering the mismanagement and how terrible Rooster Teeth was led, I can guarantee you that if I had a company and I took a bunch of brain dead monkeys and I made them in charge, they would do way better than Rooster Teeth did in their final years. Kiden Jizin is the individual who had come out against Rooster Teeth, which sparked their whole entire apology in the first place. And they had made a twit longer, talking about some of their experiences that they had gone through when they were involved with the company, stating my final words on Rooster Teeth and just some of my experiences there. Now, we'll briefly look over some of this. But basically, they said, I joined the company officially as a contracted content creator and editor in February 2013. I worked to create a monthly video game news release series. I produced episodes every month until I was officially hired as a full-time content creator editor in November of 2013. From February 2013 until November 2013, I went entirely unpaid for all of my contract work. I was never given the payment promised for anything I did. When I was hired full-time and I brought that up, I was told that it's been so long already, it's not really a big deal, is it? And then the subject was never brought up again. Within a few weeks of working at Rooster Teeth, I was given a nickname, and that nickname was a slur. Every day I came into work, I was called the F-slur. But they could not use that name in content, so when anyone was recording, I was called Fugs instead. For any fans that used the nickname for me for years, that's what you were calling me. Considering Rooster Teeth's track record, if this is true, it wouldn't shock me. In my first years there, I would arrive at work around 7 a.m. To begin editing videos and would often have to stay until 9 p.m. to get as much work done as possible. This was actively encouraged so we could have a backlog of content, but I was always given rush orders to edit more important videos to go out either the same day or next day. That's when the crunch began for me, and it did not end. From that point on, harassment started, and not just toward me. Anytime I brought up mistreatment or making fun of people, and content only encourages the community to hate us, I was waved away saying, "It's just a joke, ignore the comments." My hours in that department were 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. I was crunching harder than before. I wasn't allowed to be in anything. I had my name removed from everything I worked on. In 2016, I came out as trans, and many people at the company publicly voiced their opinion on social media. Inside the company, however, things got worse. People had no idea how to deal with the trans woman, so I interacted with even less and only trotted out every so often to show off, we hire LGBTQIA plus people. So by their words, basically, Rooster Teeth's token employee.
Bunch of ball-washing bastards.
When you look at it, if this is true, then yes, Rooster Teeth was just a bunch of assholes. So much for being progressive, am I right? But there is something I noticed in this that I didn't like, and this is what they stated. I was told, we've done enough for the queer community, which hurt to hear as I felt like we had barely accomplished anything and we're still struggling to have accurate representation on screen, as most of our Pride stream focused mostly cis-het talent still. So, they don't like being called a slur, and yet they will use cis, which is a slur towards heterosexual people. Sounds like a hypocrite to me. This is basically the entire TLDR. If you want to rate it, you go right on ahead. But, if what they were saying is true, then yes, this just proves further that Rooster Teeth was a completely awful company. But this is what made Rooster Teeth come out and actually, quote-unquote, apologize. Now, there's apparently more that this individual wanted to say, but this is what they had to say. They said there were some good people there, but yeah, the company was basically scumbags by what they were stating. Mika Burton herself, who was also a former Rooster Teeth employee, came out stating this back on June 3rd, 2020. I've been very quiet about my experience with RT, but with the now vocalization of regret of lack of support from my ex-coworkers, I can say with confidence I didn't leave because of the community, I left because of the company. I'm glad the penny has dropped for a lot of them. That is progress. But that does not change being abandoned, blacklisted, ignored, and most of all, not believed. When is your dad going to hate us now was a bigger concern than my well-being. I knew I had to go. And then on October 15th of 2022, 2 years later, she stated, all I'm saying is I left out a lot of detail and was overly kind to blatant abusers who I didn't name drop back in 2020. The people speaking up about their horrific treatment at Rooster Teeth isn't news. Seeing the N-word written on a whiteboard wasn't even close to my worst experience there. You know, if this is all true, I wonder if there could have possibly been any employees that could have given the idea of racism going on there.
I think, to be completely honest, we were like 22 when we started writing Ruby, and when you're young, you want to be like, let's make a show about good things and have good morals, and like, let's touch on this, and this, and we were like, I think it could be really interesting and really important to have a show with, you know, there's some segregation, and like, let's talk about racism and minorities and stuff, and I think we were a little too ambitious for like a 15-minute, at the time, 5-minute long show, especially with just like 2 white guys writing it.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard! Jesus Christ, I've met some dumb bastards in my time, but you outdo them all. Get over there!
Yeah, leave it to that rat bastard to open his mouth and, you know, help confirm some racism, because what does that mean that 2 white people writing it would be an issue of not understanding discrimination or racism? White people can understand that too, by the way. We also can't forget his tweets of sexism. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a weird game. Sometimes you fight monsters, sometimes you look for cats with your prostitute friend.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Now I have to sit in a bar and wait while all the other characters have a meeting? Also, I know Tifa isn't a prostitute, but compared to literally every other person in the town, her outfit is something, lol. Enjoying Konosuba so far, but man, does it bum me out every time I find a new anime that hypersexualizes female characters in practically every shot. If you're a sexy show, fine, show all the butts. Boy butts, girl butts. Butts are great, but this show ain't giving equal butts.
What are you, gay?
You know, if there's anything that could have told you, Rooster Teeth might have had a problem. This might have been one of the people to answer that question. And also, misunderstanding of Konosuba and, you know, how it's meant to be a comedy. But, okay, sure. Rooster Teeth had a lot of problems, but there were still wonderful people there who were fighting every day to try and make that place better. Rooster Teeth was a huge chapter of my life. Dark times aside, I'll always be grateful for those years and the friends and loved ones I made. Kinda ironic, because they'll tend to tell on themselves all the time. In this case, they're basically telling on the company through this, so there is that. Every story reaches its final pages. Rooster Teeth's closure isn't merely an end. It reflects broader business dynamics, monetization skills, platform algorithms, advertising challenges, and the EBB and flow of patronage. All these converging factors have led to many closures in the industry. While we learn about updates on programming day by day, we will share our plans for shows, franchises, partnerships, and merch soon, and share those updates with the team internally and with the community on roosterteeth.com. Well, you see, that's the thing. It is the end, though. And not only that, but while the monetization shifts will be right, when it comes to the patronage, you know, locking things behind a paywall, I mean, you're treating this like it's like, what, early 2010s? What did you expect? Did you expect them to go to your site and watch it behind a paywall whenever, if they were looking at it on YouTube for free, you thought they were going to pay? They would just find a place to find it for free somewhere else. Though not intentional, it's not only appropriate that our last season of Red vs. Blue coincides with us navigating this closure together. Our legacy is not just a collection of content, but a history of pixels burned into our screens, minds, and hearts. I mean, while Rooster Teeth left a mark on the industry, it also left a very bad mark on the industry. It's an example of what not to become. You know, like, it inspired a lot of people, but then later on it fell off. But then this news struck the Ruby and Rooster Teeth cultists like storm, as you can imagine how they reacted.
Oh, check it out.
David Zaslav is the reason Rooster Teeth is shutting down. Actually, no. Rooster Teeth was dying before Discover even got their hands on Warner. Not true. That is actual false information. I feel bad and sad that Rooster Teeth Productions was demolished and shutting down the company. What? And all thanks to David Zaslav, who literally destroyed Rooster Teeth, the legacy after 20-year anniversary. Rooster Teeth shuts down because David Zaslav is a greedy piece of shit. Vic Lasagna stands who can't let go of a years-long grudge.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
We cannot tolerate Zaslav for taking everything away from us. I say we put this guy out of the picture. I say down with Zaslav. All in favor of declaring war against Zaslav, say aye. I think we need to put you in a straitjacket in the psych ward where you belong. That's what I think. Then over a month later, the very same person came in saying,
Court has given the final verdict. David Zaslav will be sentenced for life in prison for shutting down Rooster Teeth for greedy profits. This sentence will start when this tweet gets 100 or more likes.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
After all this was said and done, it seems that a lot of the assets were just being sold off, as Rooster Teeth podcast The Roost network sold to Night Talent Management, and then, of course, people wonder, well, what happened to Ruby? Well, for those of you who may not be aware, it was actually sold to Viz, so Viz now has Ruby, and just for the best, Viz, whatever you do not make the series like Volume 7, 8, or 9, oh lord. Just go with the first 3 volumes and just learn what made that good and then just work upon that. The one thing that's kind of interesting when you think about it. Back in 2019, Vic Mignogna was fired for false allegations because, there was never any proof to what happened. And Vic is obviously innocent. But Rooster Teeth fired him over allegations. Well, you know what the irony is? When you think about it? Vic Mignogna, he got his career going back again. And yet Rooster Teeth no longer exists. They've been shut down. They're not the only ones that got hit, though, because Funimation doesn't exist anymore either. Oh, when you think about it, it all came back to bite them. Vic Mignogna, he gets to be on top. His career come back again. Funimation and Rooster Teeth are gone. But, when you think about it at the end of the day, like, Rooster Teeth, yeah, they're gone. Well, think about it is, you screwed yourselves. The biggest mistake was mismanagement, but also selling out. Never should have sold out. That was your biggest problem. You probably would have survived if you had just never sold out, but Warner got their hands on you. They had been losing money too, and they had to cut something. I'd have to say, at the end of the day, by my guess, they were just given multiple opportunities because they kept probably begging and pleading to be all like, oh yeah, hey, please, we'll do some shitty animation like we always do or something. Please, just don't cut us. And then Zaslaw's like, make money or we're shutting you down. And look, at the end of the day, Rooster Teeth destroyed themselves. I mean, look, it's a business. If you're going to go against your consumer base, then yeah, expect people to no longer support you because you're frustrating your consumers. You're going against what they would want. You're asking for it. I mean, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, yeah, do I feel bad for the good people who lost their jobs? Of course I do. But the ones that were dumb enough to sink the company to the ground, no, that's on them. That's their fault. At the end of the day, well, it's a lesson of what not to become. Rest in piss, Rooster Teeth.